Bluey is really smart, but just like every child, she has to follow a lot of rules set by her parents, Bandit and Chili. Of course, her little sister Bingo also has to follow these same rules to keep things running smoothly at home. No photographing butts. Let's start with the funniest rule of all. Never take pictures of people's butts. It might sound like a weird rule, but there's an interesting reason behind it. One day, Chili was doing a yoga class at home, while Bluey and Bingo were playing tourists, taking pictures of everything. But at that moment, Chili was in a bit of an awkward pose for photos. That's when the rule was made. No taking pictures of private parts, especially butts.
Niñas, no le tomen fotos al trasero de las personas.
Even though it's funny, this rule teaches something important: respecting other people's privacy. It's a great irony considering dogs love sniffing each other's butts, right? Still, it's a valuable lesson for kids to learn not to photograph everything they see, especially things they shouldn't. And here's a tip from us. It's totally worth checking out all 10 strict rules that exist in the Healer family's house. Get ready to discover the biggest secrets of the Bluey universe with us. Always wear sunscreen. This is one of the most important rules that Bandit and Chili made for Bluey and Bingo. One thing the girls must always remember before going out to play is to wear sunscreen or stay in the shade. In Australia, where the characters live, the sun is relentless, with temperatures that can reach over 50 degrees Celsius. Can you believe that?
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
No wonder Australia has the highest incidence of skin cancer in the world. That's why Bandit always reminds the girls to put on sunscreen before going out to play, especially when heading to the pool. And if he forgets to bring the sunscreen, it's all about sticking to the shade. And here's something interesting. This rule even pops up in the children's play. Many times we see them treating the shade as a safe spot, which is very true in Australia's case. The sun can be harsh, and this simple rule helps the girls protect themselves from an early age. Always keep promises. One of the Healer family's guidelines is a rule that everyone should follow, right? Not just kids, but adults too. Bandit and Chili always teach Bluey and Bingo that if they make a promise, they must keep it. This becomes clear in the episode where the family borrows several books from the library, showing the importance of keeping promises and how it's crucial to maintain trust between people.
The whole point of promises is to build trust. If there's no trust, none of this is possible.
This lesson is great for kids, as it teaches them early on not to make promises just to deceive. Additionally, the show demonstrates that while making promises isn't always necessary, once you do, it's essential to follow through. And honestly, this applies to everyone, right? And if you're enjoying this video, don't forget to comment below. Go ahead and comment bingo to show that you also love this adorable character. Sugar once a week. This is one of those rules that any child would find hard to follow, but Chili and Bandit put it in place because they know how important it is. Eating sugar only once a week helps keep the girls healthy and full of energy. Just the right amount. After all, who hasn't heard that sugar makes kids hyper, right? We can see Bandit mention this rule in the ice cream episode when the girls beg him to buy them ice cream. When the girls eat sugar, they get so energized that controlling that energy becomes an almost impossible mission. That's why their parents make sure to limit their sugar intake. Can you imagine what the house would be like if Bluey and Bingo ate sugar every day? Moreover, limiting sugar is a way to teach moderation and the importance of taking care of your health from a young age. And let's be honest, a dose of energy is good, but a sugar overload leaves any parent exhausted just watching. That's why whenever Bluey or Bingo want to eat something sweet, they have to ask their parents for permission. Fair enough, right? Clean up the mess. This is a classic rule and definitely no surprise to anyone. Cleaning up the mess you made is something that Bluey and Bingo need to learn from a young age, and Chili makes sure to teach this to the girls in a very fun way. The rule is simple. Playing is great, but after the fun comes the responsibility of putting everything back in its place. We all know that when kids play, toys end up everywhere. And in Bluey and Bingo's case, it's toys, coloring pencils, books, and a whole bunch of other things that pile up around the house.
There's too many toys on the ground.
To avoid the house becoming a complete mess, Chili and Bandit teach the girls to always put away everything they used. This rule not only helps keep the house tidy, but it also teaches the girls a sense of responsibility from an early age. And let's be honest, there's nothing better than teaching kids to take care of their own space. Right? Now, watch out for Bandit, who sometimes gives a little help in breaking the rule. In one episode, he even helped make more of a mess, which isn't exactly a great example, but in the end, the lesson is that everyone should clean up the mess they made, and this helps keep things harmonious in the Healer household. Table manners. This is one of those rules that almost every parent in the world enforces, and it's no different for Bluey and Bingo. Following table manners is something the Healer parents make sure to teach. In the Magic Asparagus episode, we see Bandit correcting the little blue dog more than once for talking with her mouth full.
Bluey, don't talk with your mouth full. And sit up straight. Don't slouch. It's bad manners.
A basic rule, but one that many kids forget in everyday life. Another rule at the table is that the girls must sit properly and not slouch while eating. Far from being an overly formal rule, it's something important for kids to learn how to behave during meals. And let's be real, it's always more pleasant when everyone behaves well at the table, right? These small rules, which may seem simple, make a big difference in children's behavior, and the show does a great job of conveying these lessons in an educational way, both for kids watching and for parents. After all, these are little habits that help build good manners for the future. And if you're like Bluey and Bingo, you've probably heard your parents tell you not to talk with your mouth full. This rule really makes sense. Always wear your seatbelt. Have you noticed that in many cartoons, kids don't always appear wearing seatbelts in the car? Well, in Bluey, it's a different story. Bandit and Chili make sure to strictly follow the rule of always wearing a seatbelt, especially since Bluey and Bingo are still small and need to use booster seats in the back. This rule is super important, not only because it's a safety issue, but because it teaches kids early on the importance of protecting themselves in traffic. In several episodes, we can see the girls safely buckled up in the car, showing that safety is a priority on family outings. Of course, for little kids, it can be tough to sit still and quiet for long periods, but learning this early on also helps develop patience and discipline. And let's face it, for parents, it's sometimes even relaxing when the kids stay quiet during a car ride, right? If you've made it this far, you're definitely a Bluey fan like us. So go ahead and subscribe to the channel to stay in the loop with everything in the Blue Dog universe. Never fighting anyone with siblings knows that fighting is part of the deal. But, like many other kids, Bluey and Bingo also have to follow the rule of never fighting. After all, who hasn't argued with their brother or sister and then been forced to make up even when still mad? It happens to everyone. In the Hammer Barn episode, the girls even get into a fight at the supermarket, which leads to a garden gnome falling and breaking, causing Chili to get upset. At the same time, unlike many other kids, Bluey and Bingo actually get along really well, which makes it easier for them to reconcile. Even though fights are sometimes inevitable, this rule highlights the importance of friendship and love between siblings. In the end, what matters most is always making up and remembering that, no matter what, the bond between siblings is always stronger. Anyone with a sibling knows exactly how it feels, right? Always obey. This rule is almost a compliment to all the others. In Bluey, it's very clear that the parents, Bandit and Chili, have absolute authority, and the girls must always obey. And it's no wonder, after all, parents are the most experienced and know what's best for them. A good example is when Bingo grabs a cookie without permission, and Chili promptly reminds her that she wasn't allowed to do that. The episode shows how important it is for kids to follow their parents' guidance, especially to avoid problems that could arise from bad choices, like eating before a meal, for example. This rule also teaches about hierarchy and respect for household rules, which is something children should learn early on. Even if it may seem strict at times, it's crucial for them to understand that parents are there to guide them and help them avoid mistakes while growing up. Bluey's rules. Now, this is one of the most fun rules. Bluey has learned so well from her parents about following rules that she started creating her own rules during playtime with her friends. When she, Coco, and Snickers were playing, They made up a game where the shadows were solid ground, and the sun represented a river full of crocodiles. And of course, Bluey always makes sure the game's rules are followed to the letter. Another example is when she, Chloe, and Mackenzie were playing together, Bluey kept pausing the game to redefine the rules, always ensuring the game was fair and well organized. These little rules, created during their playtime, show how the little blue pup has really absorbed her parents' lessons and learned to keep everything in order, even in the simplest activities. This not only shows Bluey's creative side, but also reinforces how following rules can be something positive and even fun. These were 10 more rules that Bluey and Bingo have to follow, which you probably hadn't noticed before. But don't worry, the video might be over, but the fun is far from done. Click on one of the 2 amazing videos appearing on the screen now, and keep enjoying more awesome content with us.